Everyone, welcome to Nature Folklore on this Easter Sunday, 9th of April 2023. And thanks for joining me. It's our weekly time of usually echoing news, stories, poetry, and art that's connected to nature folklore and our precious water, holy wells, woodlands, hedges, and wildlife. So hail, whole, and holy good health, and a blessed Easter for you all. Wonderful. Now, through this edition, I'm going to be focusing on a bit of chat about Easter and folklore behind it, and then on to some questions and answers. I've never had a questions and answers session since we left Clara Crawley. Used to do them out in the tree labyrinth there. And as you notice, it's very different at the moment. I haven't got all my gear here. I'm just setting up with the trusty laptop here and seeing how it flows anyway. So bare minimals. I haven't got the toys that I usually have for doing the broadcast. But it's the time the water's flowing, the trees are coming into leaves and buds. And outdoor gardeners, they're daring to seed to get ahead of the growing season. The growing summer and the harvest ahead that everyone hopes will be great. But as I say, I'm not in the Lister Down studio. Still losing the voice at the beginning, though. And so me relying on the mic and camera of this trusty laptop, and I'll hope that the wireless signal rather than cabled up one will last. So as usual, Nature Echoes Live, plus the growing Nature Folklore videos, articles, photo library, and then journaling there at Substack. And the Journaling Nature Folklore course is there, the modules as well. And that's all brought to you by the support of our kind subscribers. And I got two levels there. There's two tiers. You can go on free, and I've got lots of articles that come up. I'm still getting through the She series that you got. And then the paid subscribers, they get onto the Journaling Nature Folklore course. But if you go on the free, you can look around, comment, keep in touch, and then upgrade whenever you have. But the support subscribers, I thank you so much, because that's the reason I can keep on the air as well. The cost of the course, I'm going to talk a bit about the course, so how we're doing so far. But the cost for the 12 months is a €30 membership. That includes 4 seminars. I've got one coming up, which I'll be talking about as well. And whatever it is in your currency, there's 20 course modules to engage in, posted throughout the year if you wish. And of course, after 12 months, I hope you'll continue as well, because I'm going to be forever creating content around this. If for those people who come to me through the Patreon, I actually put you I can actually slip you onto the Substack as well without you paying twice. So it's a 2-for-1 deal. Now, the survival pledge is sorted there. Let's see, we got people coming aboard, and on this Easter Sunday afternoon or evening, we're just entering into the evening there. And let's see, is there any early birds there that are chatting away yet? I don't see anything yet. So when you get chatting and talking there, I will join in as well. And I hope you are hearing me and seeing me. As I say, I'm not usually using the usual equipment. It's bare bones at the moment. Anyway, I'll start before I get on to the questions and answers. Some people will be going to the archive of this. A few words about Easter, I think. Give a few words to warm up this session. So Easter, people are talking about things like Astara or Stara, wishing people Oestra. Their words have been bouncing around since the vernal spring equinox. And the spring equinox was not that long ago. So some folklorists in Ireland, they're shuddering at this. They're a bit upset about these words being used, the Ostara, and so forth, because none of these words actually appear in the Irish folklore. It was, I suppose, Gardner and the Wickers made the Ostara, etc., popular, that name, through the 50s. And I assume during the 19th century Celtic revival time, the revivalists had a lot of fun with it as well. I think the Istra word actually may have been an invention of the English Northumbrian scribes. I don't know who it might have been. It might have been under the scribes under Cuthbert in the 7th century, or maybe under Bede in the 8th century, but definitely seems to be of Northumbria origin. The Easter itself has never been a big thing in my life. How is it in yours? Are you celebrating well? Because one of the things people really enjoy, it is a time when everybody's off. You're gathering together, you share food, and you meet up with family and people you don't see much of the time. Or it might be just a day off and you're just really enjoying your own company, catching up on some things that you want to do for yourself. But it's strange that Easter's not a big thing for me, because the resurrection story is what actually set me off on nature folklore discoveries and stories anyway. But for much of my life, I've tended to think that most people, they get stuck at the crucifixion in most of their circumstances and find it a little bit tricky to move on to the resurrection, to resurrect whatever situation they're in. But I have to be kicked up the arse to get involved in Easter Sunday things myself. Now, one thing before I move on, I notice we're getting a lot of people coming on and a lot of people going off, which is very unusual at the start of the show. So I hope you are hearing and seeing me okay. Please put in the comments to confirm that you are getting a reception, because I've noticed in the past when people vanish, it's because it looks like I'm miming. So I just want to make sure you're hearing. So put a comment in that I'm loud and clear. Anyway, a lot of people, I'm sure it's happened to you, having fun on these Easter Sundays, getting together, sharing meals, as I was saying. And also, if you're not big on today, you're bound to have been celebrating something, whether you got together with people at the equinox or even at the full moon in between. A lot of people talked about the full moon. It was a real bright one here. So a lot of celebration, people getting together with that. So with outdoor meetups and their fires and so forth. But this is a time, whichever it is, your Easter equinox or the full moon, seems to be our thoughts and actions seem to be focused on renewal and re-emergence. We're re-emerging in the spring. A lot of people talk about regeneration of themselves, and it's certainly a lovely freshness after the death of winter. Wouldn't you agree on that one? Certainly a lot of people talk about the celebration of nature's fertility, because the leaves on the trees, the leaves and the buds are coming out, the blossoms are coming out. And a friend even today was saying, oh, look, the cherry blossom's out, which is a great symbol with the fragrance of the cherry blossom. You can tell that we're moving on to the end of spring and just about to move forward into the summer. And it's not that many days away, though you might not think so. The weather forecast here next week doesn't give that ambience of it, but the week after, after 2 weekends, we got a lovely warm forecast moving in. Anyway, many people around this time seem to wake up. A lot of people get really into their gardens now. They're waking up thinking about their gardens and what to do in the garden today. And that's indeed the place of freshness, restart, new goals, rich enthusiasm. And people love to put their hands into the warming spring soil to meet its creatures living there. And there's some final cutting back you do in the garden, the clearing up of old growth, partially to make room for the new buds to really come out, the shoots and the blossoms, make them all visible to show that it really is the spring. And I think a lot of people get refreshed by this, thinking of it all being lovely symbols of freshness and hope. So I always think that the garden in spring, it shows us resurrection actually happening, because the garden shows us how to die and then how to come back to life again. And I think that's what we get excited about. So we leave the past standing in the past, leave it in the winter, and we focus on the new birthing. We start to feel comfortable letting things rot, actually, in the garden. We're quite pleased to see the stuff rotting and return to source, because it's stuff that's no longer needed, because there's a whole regeneration that's becoming new again. So who wakes up thinking that our gardens actually teach us how to live? And the gardening as well, people love to get, if it's a lovely sunny warm day, you got sun on your face, that incredible slow immersive work in the garden. I think that stills the mind so much without concentration, and we can be surprised at the change. We're contemplating and working away, and then we, after a few hours, look up, oh, did I do all that? Amazing, such change in space after a few contemplative hours. So I think care and tending to the gardens, it brings care and attention to ourselves. And maybe it has a profound effect on how we look at the world. Suddenly, maybe the ugly starts becoming beautiful. Or we cease to think about the ugly only in regeneration and resurrection. So I think gardens and us is a tender open, it opens up our vulnerability, and the gardens in a way have a vulnerability too. And we connect, I think, through that vulnerability. Thank you, Dyson Mystics, for saying the light and audio are perfect. Cheers for the session, your knowledge and sharing with us. Well, it's lovely. Thank you. I'm glad this is all working, because this is very unusual. Well, I'm in an unusual setting rather than at home in the studio. And it is Easter Sunday, so there's a lot of variables that are totally off the wall. So I'm glad we're up and running. Very good. Thank you for that. Anyway, I'm talking and relating the garden and regeneration and Easter. So I think it's a great time to engage in the fertile coupling with the land and its creatures. When we hold that bit of soil, starting to get warm, and it kind of has a fragrance. And it doesn't matter how small the creatures are, we have that kind of coupling with it. And of course, the other thing is midges start biting at Easter too. So that's definitely a coupling we get going. Anyway, any other comments there? Any questions on that? Because I usually have 2 or 3 echoes, news items of the week. I'm not doing that this week. I'm getting on with that next week again. I've got a bunch of stories. There's a few guests that want to come on board. So I hope to do some catching up there, and we'll catch up and have the show as I usually do. So this is a very casual Easter Sunday activity. And I invited you in advance, maybe as I was rambling there about our thoughts on regeneration opening up to the fresh spring. Any thoughts, any questions you got on nature folklore at this time? Especially, I've been running on echoes of the She, forestry, new forestry that's coming on. And also this time we start thinking, I think, more of a kind of approach to the land and our surroundings in a kind of permaculture mentality. We stop kind of doing things in a linear, although I suppose we're sowing seeds in a row. But then even there's a reluctance when that happens, because you never find weeds come up in a row necessarily. Who we got here? We got, this is very unusual. I'm joining, let's see, I'm joining him from Belgium, from West Mali. Is that correct there, Ina? I hope I got that right. And I hope you catch my warblings to start off with. As I say, it's a very different show that I normally do today. Now, someone else has come up here. Healing with wild plants as medicine, definitely nettle, birch juice. This is the other thing, as I say, it's not only gathering in the gardens. I've noticed a lot of people have been talking about, well, they've been foraging, very much a foraging. I've even got a neighbor who, for those of you who are familiar with me, I was actually in hospital for a few days last week, been out for a couple of days. And I had a neighbor who's been rushing over to me with juices that he's made. He's got a real professional big juicer where he's been out foraging for nettles and plantain and other plants that he's gathered, clover, etc., and just juicing that up and saying, I'll get this down. And it's absolutely delicious because he throws the ginger and the turmeric in it as well, which I love, and an apple as well. So Abbey Beer, saying, let's get the mouse over here. All right. Yes, like the Abbey Beer. Oh, yeah, that you're talking about. Where is it? The monastery on Dartmoor. Is that what you're thinking of? Oh, I can't think of its name for now, but that's what it reminds me. Although a lot of monasteries do beer. And if you listen to the series I do from September right up to someone, the alewives, the whole history of the alewives from Mesopotamia time. And I kind of go into that, the nuns and their beer and their ale and their brewing and how they continue. It's a fascinating area of folklore. And I look forward to getting back to that when we get back into the autumn with that. As I say, there must be someone else there to ask questions. West Mali is an abbey. Oh, you live close to an abbey that I should know about. That's a brewing abbey. That's fabulous. I will have to look that one up and make an incorporation of that. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing attention to that, because that probably is going to be another nugget of information that I'll add when I do the Ale Housewives series. Because the way I run that, we've got Tara Jaff here, which is wonderful. I don't think, this is lovely, because I don't think you've been on one of these nature folklores, have you, Tara? Tara is worth looking up. You're coming through the Facebook on this one. Beautiful harp, is quite unique and has a kind of Kurdish heritage that comes into it. And it's beautifully done. It's very atmospheric and very much a woman of the woods. She has some lovely forestry near where she lives and makes the most of it. But it's really beautiful with the music and her approach to it, the spirit of it, was lovely. And Susan Gadsby here. But yeah, Buckfastly, that's right. That's the automatic thing I was thinking of. Goodness me, it's so long since. I think the last time I was a Buckfastly, I was about 11 or 12 years old. So it's a long time, but I certainly remember the brewing was going on there. And of course, the Buckfastly have a herbal mix. I can't remember what it's called, but it seems to be in a lot of the health food show. But at the time, there was a craze for people. When I was last there people were actually collecting Lucky Charms that they would put on bracelets. And a lot of people went to there to pick up their red gold Lucky Charms to add to their collection, trinkets. But I think the brewing story is nearer to the folklore. So it's wonderful. Are fuchsia a native plant or are they a runaway house plant? As far as I gather, they're a native. Yes, in Donegal, you go down the west coast, especially if you're in the Connemara, it's everywhere. So, and even into Kerry, but yeah, Donegal, parts of Mayo. But it's funny when you say fuchsia, the two places I think of are the islands off of Donegal, or Inish, Arranmore, and then the island hardly anybody gets to, Inish, Free South there, and the long sort of northwest coast. And yeah, it's beautiful to have. Isn't it incredible when it comes out? That's definitely something you think, the spring has arrived. And the thing with the fuchsia, they're still there in June. It's they just carry on for a long time, a bit like the yellow gauze. So it's lovely to bring that thought and the feeling up with that. Just finished Anam Cara. Yeah, that's very much related to Connemara with their. I always have strange feelings about the Connemara on that. There's some great folklore and legends, but I get a little nervous of the fact, why we got all this bare rock there? But that's been wonderful for the collection of the unique flora that's there, because you got a combination of the flora that you would get in the Arctic with that from the Mediterranean, and that kind of mixes, because in the cracking of the cast limestone, it gives them the ability, the warmth to grow there. And of course, the cycle of cattle is very different there. Whereas in tradition, everywhere in Ireland, the cattle winter down in the valleys, and then in the summer, it used to be the daughters of the farmers would take the cattle up on the hill, and there they would live with the cattle on the hill, and they would make the butter. And then there's these stories about the fairies taking the butter away, when really it was the young lads that would try their arm and go up the hill, supposedly bringing supplies. And the thing with the butter through on the hills from the cattle is part of the inventory that's been built up by the farming down below. They don't do that so much now, but the combination of the farming down below and the butter above, that becomes the wealth of the harvest that pays off the debts and so forth. But in the Connemara, they do that in reverse, because being kind of under the summer sun, it's too hot. So the cattle stay down below, and the cattle actually go and winter on the top of the hills in the Connemara because the ground is so warm. And there is the grazing as well. And that's part of another reason for that sequence why you got the unique flora there. But it used to be forested. Pines, there was an Irish pine that's long gone. I think some botanists think they've got fragments of it that they've taken from the Connemara. But it was pine forest, Irish pine forest, but that got cleared through the farmers coming in. And unfortunately, in that area, when you clear away the forestry, you've got erosion, and suddenly they couldn't farm very well because all the soil disappeared out into the sea. So partially the Connemara, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the Burren. I really don't. It's funny, because the two kind of get mixed up in the folklore. So forgive me on that one. I'm still sort of a little head case after the hospital visit, but I hope you got the gist of something there. Tory, Tory. Claire's been to Tory not so long back, but it's been a long time since I've been there. I used to travel there used to be a not hovercraft, I forget what they call them, but there was a boat service that went from Oban to Isle of Mull, to Iona, and then to the north coast of Donegal, Mallighead. Oh dear, I'll get my brain back in a minute. But we would go past Tory, and it's interesting as you went on that boat that you couldn't tell where Scotland finished and where Ireland started. And but it did stop off at Tory sometimes, and that would be a fun thing to do. But it's a long time since I've done that. I need to get there again soon, especially now. I'm a retired person in Ireland, and we have free transport pass, and actually the ferry to Tory is free. So I'll have to get there sometime and give you a Nature Echoes report of Tory. And there's Gary who's popped in. That's wonderful. Gary is in Germany at the moment, flying visit before Easter dinner here. We'll catch up. I'm just rambling, Gary, because I did do a sort of Easter feelings at the beginning. And it's funny, you're over there and you wanted to see Faun, who was over here, because we went to the Faun concert. If you know, they're quite huge, kind of a gothic medieval folk band, been around. I think it's their 25th year. I think it's like as if they're on the 25th year anniversary. And it was the first time where they actually got to perform in Ireland. So that was spectacular. And they said it won't be long before they're back again, because the audience received them really incredibly. They were worried because they do sing a lot in German. But people knew the songs, they'd known the translations, and Oliver, the sort of Sitton and other instruments player, he was very good with his English, and he was very funny. So he was a great entertainer as well. So hi, Gary. And it's funny, last time we mentioned these in Germany, I wish I could have seen Vaughan. It's a bit like when I went to Florida. One of my dreams was to actually see the I wish I could was straight with my facts there. What's his name? The Queen. No, it's totally gone out of my mind. The film, no, I really am bad on my facts. Bogart, and I keep thinking of Gypsy Queen. It wasn't a Gypsy Queen. I forget. Anyway, it was a boat in a film, and it was on Key Largo. I come from Scotland, especially on a visit, to see this boat that was parked there. I get to it, is the key that it's parked in had a notice, gone to a tour of Scotland. So that was one live stream. I'd come from Scotland to Florida to see this boat. Oh no, it was doing a circular tour of Scotland, and they had left Scotland by the time I got back there. I can't think of its name at the moment. Anyway, I better move on a bit. I'm pretty much done half an hour here. The course is going well. For those of you who are subscribers to the journaling Nature Folklore course, I got the Willow module out, and it's fantastic. I've got more response than I expected, and a lot of people have made use of it, the content, because at the moment all they've got is a 2-part kind of written piece that I've done on the Substack, and I give a lot of prompts. I give prompt suggestions, and in that I give suggestions of how to use those prompts in your daily life. And people have actually come back to me and said, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. People are weaving willow, that's deciding what to do with their land with the willow. And also it's helped them with some of the solutions, because I was talking about the conduit between the moon and the water with the willow, and it gave a lot of people ideas and a lot more confidence, because they feel somehow the tide has gone out with something that they've done, and they feel confident and knowing that the tide's coming back in. And of course, people have been writing to me and say, yeah, the tide did come back in. So some of the prompts I've done on the Willow module, people have really enjoyed that. Now, the next module I'm putting out on the 17th of April, but I'm actually going to keep the content secret of that until right up very close to the time they bring that out. But it will be prompts related to the transition between spring and summer. And fragrance will be involved in that, because once we get into the summer session, I'll be doing one on hawthorn. Here's the first one on that. They'll follow that in May. But there's also the free articles. I do have the free articles for the free subscribers. But my goal with those is very well behind with those. I hope to finish the She series in February, but I'm still doing it. I brought one out last week. Still got one more part. I've written it. I just want to apply some more photographs and drawings to that. There's an Us and Trees series that I hope to have got out in March, but I haven't started to get that to you there. And at this time, I was hoping to give some articles to support our thoughts and our non-linear approach to permaculture living. That's what I was hoping for April articles on that. But as I say, I'm still trying to finish the She series, so I'll muster on, and I'll get to the Us and Trees and the permaculture in rightful time. But for the Journaling with Nature Folklore course, I want to get our first live workshop set up. I've got that dated for the 2nd of May. That's a Tuesday. That's going to be in real workshop format. I'm going to upgrade my service. I'm on StreamYard doing this, and they have a new webinar format, which is different, with a few extra toys on it, which is much more practical to use for a workshop around this. So I hope you will join. I'm going to put the details up. You will do formal registrations, that kind of thing. It'll be for the people who are subscribing to the Journaling Nature Folklore course, and we'll go through the prompts and how you're doing, and we'll have a bit of a chinwag and suggestions around that. It's going to be online, and eventually when the support for these workshops, then we'll get together in actual locations, which would be fantastic. But we're just developing this at one pace at a time. As I say, the date is Tuesday, 2nd of May. I'll be putting that out to the members shortly, and join next week. There's no extra fee because you paid your €30 a year subscription payment. So this is all worked in. It's because you made that payment that can afford to upgrade a little bit to make it a better deal for you. Am I missing anybody? Someone said Myra's here. Myra over from the Bay in California. Just missed it this morning. Looking forward to listening, and thank you for being here. And thank you for being here, Myra. And I still got to get through the dance video. And Myra and family, they're coming over here in June. So we're going to see what we can do around that one. Anyway, I've really done half an hour. So thank you for actually coming in and watching the rambles. If you've got any questions, just fire them up before I get off the air. Any nature folklore questions, and I'll get on to you. I enjoy the rambling. I hope you did, being here, because I missed out last Sunday on the health matters, unfortunately. I couldn't exactly broadcast from the hospital last Sunday. As I say, consider, if you haven't done it already, let's get show yet again, is Nature Folklore, Substack.com. Subscribe there, you get the articles. And if you want to be on the course, the Journal in Nature Folklore, go for the €30 a year subscription, and you get all the 20 components and the live online seminars. I try and make as big package as I possibly can for those that are supporting. And the lovely thing is no matter if you go for free or paid, all the content is totally free. I mean, all the content is totally free. It's free from adverts. You won't get the pop-up adverts. And the best part, there's no algorithms. You won't get polluted with algorithms picking up your nitpicking pieces and popping up. You walk down the street and there's a sign, hello, I saw you on Substack or whatever. No, you won't get stuff like that. You won't get, like, somehow these algorithms seem to pick up what we're thinking before we actually post anything. And Ina's here, planted a willow next to our entranceway, and in Celtic tree birthday connects with the willow. I hope you could consider the course there, Ina, to cover all the cover in the willow, because I absolutely love the tree and what it stands for, what it's symbolic of. As I say, I think I wrap it up because I approach it as being the willow being the conduit between the moon and the water. And so there's a lot to do with the baptism, a lot to do with the healing, and certainly a lot to do with our connection with inspirations as well. And of course, the one thing, well, past it now because we're well into spring, but a lot of people think when the dandelions come out, that's what the bees first get their food from, but it's actually the willow pollen. The willow pollen is the first essential pollen that's out that the bees will actually latch onto and start their honey season. So yeah, thanks for being with us, Ina, because I didn't promote this through the YouTube channels like I usually do, because I didn't really put this notice of the show up until a few hours ago. So I'm pleased with those who picked this up and have joined in. Thank you. Right. Any other questions or comments? I'd love to hear from you. And coming up on next Sunday's Nature Echoes, I will be going back to presenting the 3 echoes that I normally do. I've got lots of news features I'd love to share with you, and also some guests. So we'll start packaging that up. I'm in 3 features every half hour. Back to normal next Sunday. So I've enjoyed sharing this. And look at that, Gary's here to the end, as he says, which is thank you. Enjoyed sharing this Nature Echoes. We're into the evening now. If you're watching this as a replay, keep posting comments and questions. I will keep coming back. Anything on Nature Folklore will be fabulous. And I do come back from time to time and reply to you. Click the bell icon on YouTube. It tells you what's coming up and when it's coming up. The next Nature Echoes. Enjoy the rest of your Easter holiday. We've still got this evening, got tomorrow. We've not got the best forecast now in Ireland. We really had a fabulous day yesterday, Good Friday, and the day before was brilliant. Oh, God, I've got these pop-ups. Something's going on at Dublin Airport. I don't know why it's gone. That's what I say about algorithms, you know, if they sort of follow you everywhere. Anyway, cheers, says Dyson Mystics. And cheers to you. Stay safe. What else have I got to say? Well, really, until next Sunday, play well and have a great time. Thank you for being with me. And I think that's about as much as I can go with. So until next week, bye. It's funny, I was looking for I usually have the camera and mic over there. It's right in front of me on the laptop. So bye. So thank you very much. Thank you.